So one of the wonderful things about being in academia is that you meet truly talented people, interesting people, and really thought-provoking people. And so the network that we have in academia allows us to tap into these resources close and far away. And today we're just honored to have Professor Roland Rust from University of Maryland with us. My name is Tor W Andreassen. I'm the principal investigator at the Research Center Digital Innovation for Sustainable Growth. And we're going to talk today about artificial intelligence in society, but also in companies, and what we can advise leaders and how to promote and how to work with this technology to create value for society, but also for companies. But before we get to the conversation that we will have with Professor Rust, I just want to introduce you to him and make you a little bit known and more acquainted with this capacity is. So Roland Rust is a distinguished academic and a thought leader in marketing and artificial intelligence. He is a distinguished university professor at the University of Maryland, which very few people are, and he's also the David Bruce Chair Smith of Marketing at the Robert H. Smith School of Business at the University of Maryland. Roland has done a wonderful job. So one of the things that I really admire with him is like his leadership in the field of marketing and also the field of service marketing and how he has advanced it as such. His provocative thought in artificial intelligence really got some attention when he first launched them. And I remember we came to a conference where he said, there won't be need for people in the future, Tor. We are heading towards a feeling economy, which to me at the time was just mind-blowing. And I just want to tap into that discussion as we had then back in the days. Roland is also a founder of a journal called the Journal of Service Research, a leading academic journal that's really been a flagship in the field of service marketing and marketing research. And he also written a number of books, and the books that is closest to my heart is The Driving Customer Equity, and the new book that came out in The Feeling Economy, How Artificial Intelligence is Creating an Era of Empathy. And again, really thought-provoking books. So today we're going to talk about AI and the AI in society and AI in business. Welcome, Roland, to Bergen, to the Norwegian School of Economics.
Very pleased to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. It's like a true honor, and there's a special reason why you're here, which we're not going to talk about today. Let me just start the discussion about taking you into the book, The Feeling Economy, which I really enjoyed reading. And it's not a typical academic book. It's more like a book introducing people, more lay people, into this field and what it's all about. So you discuss how AI is shifting work toward emotional and creative tasks. My question to you is that how do you see this reshaping workplace dynamics, and what skills should employees prioritize in building their future organization?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Yeah, what is happening, of course, is that AI is taking over more and more jobs. I mean, it's already basically taken over the mechanical sorts of jobs like factories and things like that. But right now, the real advance is that it's taking over thinking jobs.
Which is new.
Yeah, I mean, that's relatively new. So, so you have all these jobs that people used to think were safe because they required real thinking. Now AI is showing that it has the ability to do those jobs, and therefore those jobs are going to be lost also. What that means for CEOs, for example, is that they're looking at their headcount and they're saying, you know, I think we probably aren't going to need as many people in the future. And not only that, but the people we have are going to be different.
Yeah. So take us back to, there is an illustration in your book of some steps where we started out and been automating some, basics, so, and where we ended up in the feeling. So just take us through quickly through that step.
Right. Yeah, that was, I think, a key insight. And that is that there are basically three major intelligences. Yep. And the three intelligences in the order in which AI is capable of doing them is, first is capable of doing mechanical intelligence very, very well.
Yes. Which we associate with the manufacturing industry, basically.
Right, so that was where AI hit first. But then now we have the thinking intelligence being taken over by AI. That's in progress right now. And what is left for humans, basically, that is more safe now than anything else, is people-facing jobs and feeling intelligence. So empathy plays a huge role there. And you have to be able to get along with people. So for example, when I teach, I have students work in groups because they need to be able to deal with people. That is extremely important for the future of their jobs.
So you're thinking of using technology, the way I read the book is that, the augmented human. That's the one space where you can really tap into and use the human capital that you have to get even more out of the employees, for example. You have the space where it's dominated by technology. There's a space dominated by humans, empathy, relationships, conversational.
And even that's temporary.
But one of the challenges I see and what responses here is that leaders come to this technology in one way of replacing people. Mm-hmm. What's your take on that?
Yes, I think that that's absolutely the right thing to do. Now, nobody wants to admit that because, of course, that would sound like you're anti-human. Yep. But, I mean, if you're a CEO of a company, you're looking for efficiency. Yeah.
But one of the arguments is that we should invest in humans, but they should be trained and educated into AI and really move on from the trivial work to the really intelligent work. What's your take on that?
I would say the intelligent work in terms of thinking intelligence, that's going to be taken over. So what's really left is the people-facing stuff. Like a salesperson is not going to go away anytime real soon, although some sales, a lot more sales today is done automatically with AI.
Which is kind of scary, isn't it? Like the way we think about it. And I just know in this country it's all about how can we engage the human capital, either by employing them, but also in developing them. And this is it's like a thought-provoking.
Well, one of the effects of AI is that the people are going to have to be retrained. Just like when we moved from the mechanical economy to physical economy to the thinking economy, then the people who were coal miners and factory workers and all that had to be retrained or they'd be left behind. So that was when the high schools and colleges really gained their attendance because people realized they needed those thinking skills. And now what's happening is those thinking skills are becoming obsolete. And so the retraining this time has to be training thinking workers to be more people-focused.
Which is interesting. Yeah. It's really interesting. And I see the whole debate here is that we need to have policies for allowing people to use AI in a safe, ethical manner and really move on from where they are today. And the idea, I think the underlying logic is that we should shy away from replacing people with technology. But it's a combo, isn't it?
Well, yeah, nobody wants to admit that they are trying to drive people out of the workforce. But, of course, that'll happen rather quickly once AI is seen as being sentient or conscious. And there was a Google executive who actually made the claim that some of Google's AI was already sentient. And that executive was immediately fired because they don't want people being scared like that.
I just want to then change a little bit into the, to your business application and also your experience from running the Center for Excellence in Service Center, and in connection with the businesses there. How do you see this discussion on AI into customer experience? What is your take and what is your advice and what are you thinking on that part? AI, service and service experience for customers?
Well, one of the things about the service experiences, you're not just supplying, some sort of straightforward benefit to somebody. It's really a matter of being a little bit broader than that and thinking about how you can connect to them as people and how you can be meaningful to them. And traditionally, that's been a problem for AI because AI doesn't have the feeling skills and doesn't have the empathy to pull that off. But my current research is working on exactly that. It's working on my latest article with Minghui Huang, my frequent co-author, is called The Caring Machine. The Caring Machine. And the idea is using AI for customer care.
Elaborate on that. I mean, in which context are we talking now? Are we in complex competence-based services? Are we in healthcare? Are we in a McDonald's store? Where are we on the spectrum of implementing this technology?
Well, it's really just starting. But what our work is trying to do is provide a framework for how to implement that. And that's what we're up to.
Yeah. Because that is a domain that we described as being the human-dominated part of it. And now you're saying that this is where the technology can develop and advance into also that space, which leaves me with the question, where do humans fit into this equation?
That's a problem, okay? Because ultimately, I mean, AI is to the benefit of capitalists, because it's capital, right? It's capital, and that means that when AI is doing the work, the capitalists are getting the money. In other words, you can either give the money to capital, or you can give it to labor. And traditionally, labor has dominated that. But with AI moving forward, that's changing rapidly.
I know there are some French economists, Thomas Piketty,
Yeah, Piketty, yeah.
who argues aggressively that we should change the focus of taxation from human to capital.
Yeah. I've read Piketty's book, Capital in the 21st Century. It basically built off Das Kapital by Karl Marx. The idea is, again, that if you let the capitalists have all the money, then that really hurts society at large.
And I think that's, in this society, you know, where social democratic would be a discussion that would move forward immediately, you know, progressively. Because we'd be so much taxing people, but these are the people you want to employ, so we should not tax it, but rather move it through, you know, taxing a capital, which I think is very interesting. It's going to be a huge discussion in Norway there. Yeah. But the whole idea of, you know, customers interacting with technology, do you see any transition, or how do people get used to it, or what is the, because there would be a period of when do I trust it, do I want to interact with this, where is the human? And, you know,
I would talk about my students who are like 19 or 20 years old. Yeah. Every single one of them has an AI device in their pocket, and they're using AI for their work. Every single one. And that's just their world.
But I'm running a, like a dentist. Could I see this technology employed there? Or I'm running an architect, or I'm a legal firm, I'm a
yeah, you might say dentistry, that's tough because people have to, the dentist has to take a look at what's there and change what they do based on what they see.
Yeah, but that's just one part of the whole service experiences.
Yes, and then you have the empathy part and the bedside manner, if you wish, and that's how that works.
Right. So we need to, for leaders, they need to think carefully about where to employ it and get the most benefit out of it without interrupting or destroying the experience part of it. So there will be a transition period here where we start getting used to it and related technology, trusting technology more and more.
Well, a lot of what's happening right now is you have these bad chatbots out there. Yes. And these bad chatbots actually provide worse service than the humans that used to do that service. But businesses employ them anyway. Yeah. And the reason is the amount of revenue that they lose from doing that is less than the amount of cost savings.
Yeah. Let's just turn a little bit now to some of my take is that, or my argument is that some of the problems we have in the macroeconomy needs to be resolved in a microeconomy. You know, firms need to step up and resolve it. It could be anything from sustainability to inclusion, all the stuff there. But also, how do we develop a society, you know, moving it forward, you know, from industrial period into service period into technology period, and how do you see this, you know, this technology being a threat or being a positive energy into transforming society in a way that you don't lose these citizens in this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a problem. You know, the politicians believe that what we really need is to go back to the manufacturing economy. Yeah. And it's just not coming back. That's never coming back.
It's a mental model they keep holding on to, I think. Yeah.
Because they don't know. They just are, they're not trained in AI. They don't know what's going on. They know what their clients or their constituents want, and they want their old jobs the way it used to be. They want to go to the factory or whatever and make a high wage. That's just not how the world works anymore.
So take us into, I mean, how you, in your experience, how you see how value creation is so different in a service economy or a digital service economy as opposed to a manufacturing economy. And so why is the claim, how do you back up the claim that the new economy is so different from the old economy and that thereby the politicians need to update their mental models for value creation? What is the difference between manufacturing and service value creation?
Well, service has a lot of intangibility, and that's the biggest difference. So the manufacturing economy, you're making physical goods, and with the service economy, you're basically providing service to people. So you're people focused, and of course that's perfect for the feeling economy, because that's where people are going to need to move. They're going to need to move into people-facing jobs.
Yeah. So if you want to promote a more service economy, how would that influence the tools that you have in your bag to move it along and to make it happen? You know, because rules for depreciation, it says, in my mind, targeted ideal for manufacturing where you have assets that you can depreciate. But in a service, in a high competence-based service, it's not assets, it's more like human capital.
Yeah, that's right. It is more human capital. It's just not the same. You can't use the same accounting procedures. In fact, the accounting procedures are a real problem for international trade, because they're very good numbers for goods, and the service numbers are not nearly as developed. And that means that it gets undervalued by the society in general. That's true almost everywhere.
I also want to stay into the problems in a macroeconomy needs to be, a lot of them needs to be resolved in a microeconomy at the firm level. And some of it is all about using the technology, this extremely powerful technology, AI and AI agents, digital twins and all the things we're talking about, and which leads us to the feeling economy that we argue. But what are the things that the leaders can do to avoid not only cutting costs by implementing technology, but doing something they have never been able to do before? What could that be?
Well, one of these is what I was talking about before, the caring machine. If you set up an AI system that can actually show empathy and then build the customer relationship, that's what you need.
So what is the benefits of doing that?
The benefits of creating a better connection to the customer? Well, that's where you get all your money.
But again, will customers relate to it? Like, will we be able to relate to technology in the same way as we relate to human beings?
I already do. I mean, if you take a look at people's smartphones, I mean, that's an AI device. That's really what's going on there. And so the kids today, I mean, they just assume that's their world. They don't think about this as a change. It's the way they've always lived. They grew up as digital people.
Yeah, but are there services that you can see being developed or solutions being developed now that we could have never been able to do before? Now we have this technology.
Oh, absolutely. And that's true everywhere. Let's take an example of medicine. I mean, one thing that AI can do is medical diagnosis, often very much better than human doctors can do. And so that's an example of where you would... now, the interesting thing about the doctor example is that very often the customer isn't necessarily happy with that, because they'll say, oh, gee, you know, well, the machine says that, but I don't know, do I really believe the machine? You know, so often what is done is, right now, is that you have the AI working in conjunction with the human, and then the human tries to be the intermediary to, so in other words, it's the human making the decision as far as the customer is concerned. They're just using AI in the background.
Let's stay on healthcare, which is a huge sector also in the United States, but also here in Norway. You know, we are both experienced in this mega trend of an aging society. You know, and there will be a call for a cry for warm hands to take care of it, which leads me to the productivity issue. So we see like another angle of the same discussion, but because normally we would attack the input side of it by using the technology. But how can we increase the output? Yeah,
well, people are working hard on that. For example, there's a center at Maastricht that I'm sure you're very well aware of, where they're doing a lot of robotics work. And especially they're doing robotics work for healthcare, because there aren't enough people to deal with all the older people that are in the system. And so you need to somehow, for example, if you have an old folks home, you don't have somebody to have a conversation with everybody. There aren't enough people working there. So if a robot can actually have the conversation, and there are actual companies that are doing this right now, like you know, some of the companies that have these systems where they, in fact, even sometimes it becomes sexual. You have a relationship with a device, and there was a kid not long ago, this 14-year-old kid, who developed this relationship with a chatbot, and it was sexual and all this, and then he basically killed himself at the end because he said, "I want to be with you." In other words, this is not rational. It's totally emotional, totally feeling based.
Which documents that we are able to connect emotionally with technology.
Oh yes.
But also the examples that you provided are in a geriatric part of the life cycle. It's that you can have this technology that allows you to not only provide the life quality of the people in need for this, because they have like a robot or a pet or something, but also it offload some of the work that the employees would normally do for caring with these people, so that it frees up time. So it's a wonderful example of...
And what happens to the staff is that they upgrade themselves.
Yes, exactly.
They now have a higher level job.
Yes. And you can take that into surgery, and that's part of the hospital sector too, So you need
a lot of surgery is AI now.
So you can think about that, how you can gain improved experience, improve productivity, and basically get more out of the few people that you have in that sector to address this thing here. It's just phenomenal. Let's talk a little bit about for leaders. If we're going to sum up this discussion, so what is the advice you would give them based on your experience and also your research? That if I'm running an insurance company, I'm running a public transportation system, how should I attack implementing AI into my organization? What are the the things I should shy away from, or what are the things I should promote?
Well, the first things to work on are the tasks that are repetitive, that are done the same every time, just trying to do a standard job. Those things are basically already gone, or will immediately be already gone. So that's what I would worry about. It's different now as you move AI forward to the thinking intelligence parts. Then that starts to threaten a lot of thinking workers. So for example, all these people that are doing STEM skills in school, I argue that they're actually doing the wrong thing. That what they should be working on is people skills. Because the people who are going to survive are the managers and the people who are making creative decisions. And again, that itself is temporary. That's going to go away too.
If we pick a context of the finance industry, so the insurance companies, the banks, which are heavily dominated by technology in one way, shape, or form, how much should they invest in people, and how much should they invest in technology, or is there a rule of thumb here?
Well, I think you're going to need both, but if you look 100 years ago, it was 100% of the investment in people, and I'm exaggerating, but I mean, AI really didn't exist so much then. It was just starting to come in. Automation was coming in. AI, to my view, is just the extension of automation. It's just the newest, latest, and greatest automation. But it has revolutionary potential to change the society and to change the economy.
Yes. Forget about it, absolutely.
Yeah.
So going back to where we started, there's no need for people. So I'm running this organization that have hundreds and hundreds of people employed. So how do I prepare my organization for this future scenario? The technology will be more and more implemented, replacing works, enhancing people. But we will go through a transition now where laying off is progressive.
Well, I would think before laying off, I would think retraining.
Retrain, okay.
Yeah, because you could retrain the workforce to higher skills.
Yes.
Now, not everybody's probably capable, but some will be. And those people will be upgraded. They will make higher salaries.
So there will be a scenario where some will be upskilled and some will be made redundant.
Yes.
A team and a B team. How do I go forward with that idea without creating friction inside the company?
Well, there is going to be friction. I mean, you can see this going back all the way to the Luddites, who were against automation in England. And they went around breaking the machines and things like that. I mean, you're going to see the same kind of reaction to AI. I mean, you already do.
Well, some of the numbers here we're talking about is that 300 million people globally will be impacted by this technology, which is huge.
Oh, that's way too low.
Way too low. Okay, so 600 million, 900 million.
Billions.
Billions, which from a politician's perspective is kind of worrying.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, and so you see a lot of politicians saying, well, we're just going to turn the clock back. We're going to go back to the manufacturing economy. We're going to bring manufacturing back to the country. That just doesn't work because it's too expensive for a developed country to do that.
Well, I don't think I'm going to summarize this discussion, but we've been talking about a number of things, dancing between the micro level, the macro level, the implementing technology, people enhancing, replacing, all this, what it means. So in my mind, this technology here is something more powerful than we ever experienced before in our mind. We have no experience in how to address it. So it's kind of, we need to create the road as we walk.
That's a very good point. And Bill Gates did an interview not long ago where he was saying, this idea that this is just the latest and greatest technological advance, it'll be just like all the other technological advances, we'll create more jobs than we lose, et cetera, et cetera. And he said people who think that just don't know what's going on. They simply don't understand, they don't get it. That was the exact quote he said, they don't get it. That this is different, this is revolutionary, because this is something that can outdo humans in every respect when AI gets advanced enough.
So we are a school who like to think that we're educating the leaders for the global economy or for the better world. What does it mean for the educational sector? What does it mean for a business school like this? So how would we change the curriculum or develop the...
Yeah, I think the key is to make the curriculum more people-focused.
More people-focused.
More people-focused, less technical.
So what would that mean for me as a teacher?
Yeah, I mean, and this bothers me because I have the technical background. I started out in mathematics. So, I mean, that bothers me some that that's the case, but, it's what my research says should happen.
So, because one way we have to train them in the basics of business.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we need to train them on the basics of relating to humans.
Yes. And of course, they need to be knowledgeable enough about AI to be able to team with AI. I see AI as a teammate. I don't see AI as something that augments a human. I see AI as a full-fledged teammate. And we need to start thinking about it that way, that you have a team, and the team will include some humans and some AI.
There's the Ethan Mollick at Wharton. He's a brilliant thinker in AI, and he wrote a wonderful book, the Co-Intelligence, he called the book, Co-Intelligence. And his closing argument is that always bring AI to the party. Whatever you do, big or small, always bring AI to the party.
I totally agree.
Totally agree, so do I. Roland, it's been a pleasure talking to you about these things here. We can probably spend another hour to talk about it.
Yeah, I think we could.
So it's nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.